One of the coolest parts of filming the ad for the Indian Scout Rogue was being one of the first to ride it, but it was only for a few miles. Well, since then, I've been able to spend quite a bit of time with the Scout Rogue and the Scout 60 thanks to Indian Motorcycle of Austin. In this video, we'll go over the specs, ergonomics, handling, what I don't like and what I love, and if it addresses the issues I have with my bike. I'll also tell you which one of the two I would get if I were to do it again and why. Let's get into the video. If you're subscribed to my channel, odds are you're here because of my Indian Scout Bobber long-term review. That video kind of blew up. I really appreciate the love and y'all sticking around. Well, in that video, I told you how much I love my bike, but there were a few complaints. Y'all had a few recommendations on how I could fix some of those issues, but I was going for that slam look, and mods like the mini apes and a fairing didn't fit the lines of the bike in my opinion. I was willing to sacrifice comfort for looks. The Indian Scout Rogue is a whole other story though. I really like how it looks. I know what you're thinking. Didn't he just say he doesn't like mini apes and a fairing because it doesn't fit the lines of this bike? The difference is that 19-inch wheel up front. It changes the lines of the bike in my eyes, and mini apes and a fairing just feels right. How does it handle? Is it better seating position than the Indian Scout Bobber? Does the wind fairing help? We'll get into that. If you're new around here, my name is Ricky, and this is my 2018 Indian Scout Bobber, which I've ridden for over 23,000 miles. My second video here on YouTube was a review on it, and it has over 1.5 million views at the moment, which is insane. I'll link it down in the description. In it, I explained that I was fairly new to motorcycles, and the Scout Bobber fit the look and feel I was looking for. I wanted that raw experience of riding a motorcycle, and I didn't want all the bells and whistles. I just wanted a fun, badass looking motorcycle, and the Indian Scout Bobber checked all the boxes. Well, since then, I've ridden all the bikes in the Indian motorcycle lineup and even had the chance to take some of them on some epic adventures. I can't lie, I'm kind of spoiled with better ergonomics, wind protection, tech, etc. Getting on my bike for long trips has become a struggle, so I was excited to ride the Scout Rogue in the real world and see how it compares to my Indian Scout Bobber. When it comes to specs, all Scouts are practically identical. There's two motors to choose from. The regular Scout comes with a 69 cubic inch liquid-cooled engine and a 6-gear transmission, while the 60 models comes with a 60 cubic inch engine and a 5-gear transmission. The regular Scout has 100 horsepower with 72 foot-pounds of torque versus 78 horsepower and 65 foot-pounds of torque on all 60 models. They all come with a split dual exhaust with crossover, which are pretty heavy, quiet, and long. I found myself hitting them against the walls and sidewalks. Not a big fan, but it doesn't really matter because it's one of the first things most people change on their brand new bike. They have a 3.3 gallon gas tank, which gives me about 36 miles per gallon on my Indian Scout Bobber, depending how I'm riding. The Indian Scout Rogue has a 5.1 inch ground clearance with a 29-degree lean angle, and it weighs about 553 pounds wet, while the 60 model weighs 540 pounds wet. They come with a single 298mm rotor 2-piston caliper brake in the front and a single 298mm rotor 1-piston caliper in the rear. These bikes brake surprisingly good even though it only has one caliper in the front. The Indian Scout Rogue comes with Metzeler Cruise Tech tires, while the new Indian Scout Bobber comes with Pirellis. They felt grippy, and I've heard they last quite a bit. I run Avon Cobras on mine, which I'm a big fan. They have dual shock suspensions in the rear with a 2-inch travel and a telescopic fork in the front with a 4.7-inch travel. It felt very similar to my Indian Scout Bobber. I still have my stock suspension, but to be honest, I should have changed it out a long time ago. They come with the gauge we've grown accustomed to with analog speedometer and a digital tachometer, odometer, trip meter, engine temperature, and a low fuel lamp. It comes with LED turn signals and a halogen headlight. This would be one of the first things I recommend people to change out. The Pathfinder LED headlight by Indian Motorcycle not only looks 10 times better, it's super bright. I wish Indian Motorcycle would include it, even if it bumps up the price a bit. The Scout Rogue comes with a 25.6-inch seat height, which is the same as my Indian Scout Bobber. I'm 5'7", 5'8", and this is how it looks. Simon is 6 feet tall, and this is how he looks. The hand grips aren't the best, but they get the job done. It comes with mini ape hanger handlebars and forward control, which are an inch closer than the regular Scout. I absolutely love the riding position. You're sitting upright versus leaning forward on my Indian Scout Bobber. The new seat is incredibly comfortable and it does a great job in holding you in thanks to that lip. The fairing does make a difference. It prevents the wind from hitting you on the chest. I would have to take it on a long trip to see how I feel because you're still getting some of that wind on the helmet, but it's definitely better on the freeway than my Indian Scout Bobber. Even though you do feel some of that wind through the handlebars being that the fairing is mounted to them. Like I said in my review video, the center of gravity on the Scout is super low, making it very nimble, but it's limited by its lean angle, and the Indian Scout Rogue is pretty much the same. I wouldn't mind lifting up the suspension on the Scout Rogue though. I think it would look good and it would give it more lean angle. It takes a second to get used to the mini apes, but once I did, I felt comfortable throwing it around, even though I still prefer the tracker handlebars when on the twisties. Another one of the big differences is that 19-inch wheel up front. It made the front end feel lighter, so I really enjoyed how it handled and I love how it looks. The Indian Scout Rogue takes care of some of the issues I had with my Indian Scout Bobber. Keyword being some. There are still a few things I'm not a fan of. The seat marks are still there. I don't know the solution to this, and in all honesty, it's under the seat so no one would ever see it. I guess I'm just nitpicking. The lean angle isn't great, but it's a cruiser, so maybe I should go to an FTR if I want more. Like I said, I wouldn't mind some taller shocks on the Indian Scout Rogue. That would add some much needed lean angle and it fits the look of the bike. Even though I would love to see the Chief touchscreen on the Scout as an option, I would be happy with a fuel gauge and cruise control. Not a deal breaker, but it would be nice to have. If you've ridden any of the bikes in the touring lineup of Indian Motorcycle, you know the suspension is top notch. On the Scout lineup, not that much. Especially on the Scout Bobber and Scout Rogue. The new seat on the Indian Scout Rogue definitely makes it more bearable. I love how this bike looks. I think it's one of the best looking Scouts. My absolute favorite thing on the Scout Rogue has to be the seating position and the rider triangle. It's super comfortable and I can see myself putting some miles on it while looking badass. If you don't know, the Scout is a very quick bike. I put my Indian Scout Bobber Stage 1 against the 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse with the 116 and the Scout 1 every time. I'm pretty sure it's the second quickest bike in the Indian Motorcycle lineup after the FTR. I'm a big fan of this seat. I'm actually ordering one for mine. It not only looks good, but it also feels amazing. I also love how it holds me in when giving it the beans. I'm a big fan. When I got my Scout Bobber back in 2018, I was practically new to motorcycles. Back then, the number one thing I was looking for was a badass looking bike. I really didn't mind if it wasn't the most comfortable bike. I figured I would deal with it, and I did. That's until I went on that 2022 Indian Chief press event in Arizona. The one I ended up riding the day that we were filming had a fairing. To be honest, I was not happy. It was a 111 and I didn't like how it looked. But then we got on the freeway and I was like, oh, this is why people sacrifice looks for comfort. I was so happy with my bike. That wind fairing made a huge difference and the riding position on the Chief Bobber was so comfortable. It's true what they say, ignorance is a blessing. Since then, every time I get on the freeway, I reconsider my decision of going for looks over comfort. So, which one would I go with if the Indian Scout Rogue was available when I got my Indian Scout Bobber? It's tough because I love how my bike feels in the curves with the tracker handlebars, but I don't know if it's worth being uncomfortable on long trips, which I do a lot. Knowing what I know now, I think I would go with the Scout Rogue. It looks badass, plus it has a better riding position. So, who is this bike for? I think this bike is good for both new riders and experienced ones that are looking for a fun bike to rip around town and do the occasional long trip. It's low to the ground, which allows most people to firmly plant both feet, giving them more control on the bike, which is important for new riders, and it has enough power to keep experienced riders happy. Now, if you're on the tall side, maybe you can start considering something like the new Chief, even though there are mods to make the Indian Scout Rogue fit taller and shorter people. Like I said in my review video, most of the things we say in these reviews are subjective, so the best bet would be to sit on one or take it out for a test ride yourself to see if this is the bike for you. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thanks again for all the support, and if you liked it, make sure to drop me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.